Wow, this was literally the first test run of this build, and I am having so much fun. This is such an amazing build. For my style in particular, like this is the build I was waiting for, frankly. And it's not even, as you'll see, it's more scrapped together. I mean, my Catharsis is perfect because I'm using that for my other Foundry build. You've seen my main tank build. But the other stuff, and then I'm using the same point man chest from my gunner build, but that will get replaced with another point man once I find one that I can slap armor regen and repair skill on it instead of the double crit. So I actually attempted, this is my second test run actually. The first test run though was a totally different version where I used crit damage and crit chance on it instead, and I was thoroughly disappointed. Like I was able to beat another control point, but I was struggling and it took forever. And it's because like I'm constantly wanting to be out in the open a lot, but the problem is like even though I have like I was still using 6 armor cores too, but remember I wasn't using protection from elite buffs and I didn't have any of the regen I currently have. I was using all crit chance, crit damage, thinking, oh, that's what everyone always does, so maybe it is the meta. Heck no. At least for my style, like I was taking tons of damage as usual, which you're going to do on a build like this, especially solo. You're going to be wanting to be out in the open a bunch more. And your shield, I mean, the Crusader shield, especially with Vanguard, as I'll get into, is still decent for durability, but you can't keep it out like the whole time. You have to stash it soon, especially once you start taking a ton of damage from the same angle of enemies, like multiple enemies hitting your shield at the same time. So when that happens, you really can't keep it out long at all. So yeah, I was for all those reasons, I'm constantly taking damage right. But I noticed I was like almost always in the red health while trying to play this way. It's like, and then I was getting very close to dying and burned through all my armor kits because it's just I can't keep my armor topped off. It's just that's really what it gets down to. And also the extra damage from the crit chance crit damage combo was 100% not worth it. I mean, I tested it in a lab, the shooting range, to see what my actual DPS was. So like my LMG, for instance, when I emptied a full clip, it would do about 2 million damage with crit chance up to almost the maximum, like 55% crit chance, and then crit damage at like 110% when I would go all in on that. Also, I can't remember, I think I might have been using Coyote Mask too on top of it, which means I was also, well, no, that's not true. Yeah, I was using a tip of the Spear Mask, but I was using the holster that gives you, the Forge holster that gives you shield durability, which is not much actually. It's not a little, but it's also not a huge amount. It says 50%, but it's actually like 20% when you look at the numbers. Which, again, that's a decent amount, but not a huge amount. So yeah, I was just taking too much damage constantly. I mean, I was taking the same damage I was taking here anyway, if not less, because I was having to go behind cover more than this guy had to. And it's like I was constantly close to death. Because the fixer drone wasn't cutting it anymore on its own. Now on my gunner build, it's not that bad. One, because he has 5 armor cores, not 6, so he has less to top off anyway. 2 is that he uses cover a lot more because that's his purpose anyway, most of the time. So because he's not using close range guns, he doesn't have to be in close range as much. So that's another reason. And then finally, he's using the gunner tree, so he gets 10% armor on kill too. So every kill he gets is giving him more armor. And in solo, that happens more often, obviously, because I'm the only one getting the kills usually. So I'm able to top off my armor more since I'm taking more damage as well, since I'm solo, and that synergy helps with the gunner tree, 10% armor on kill, combined with the fixer drone, and combined with using cover more, as I always do on my gunner build. So on him, I will say it's still annoying sometimes on him, because it does take a while sometimes to get my armor topped off. But it's not as bad as this guy when I have a little more armor too, and I'm also trying to be out in the open even more. Like, that's when I realize, okay, and I don't get armor on kill. That's when I'm like, yep, that's when the fixer drone's the only thing, and on its own, I mean, it's still a good skill in my view, and I'm still using it still. I still find it useful right now for this build, but on its own, it wasn't cutting it. So when I took off all the crit chance and crit damage, as I just did, other than the 2 on my you saw on my chest piece that I'm waiting to get rid of as well. I got like I have these like I have repair skill, for instance, on one of mine that will get replaced by armor regen once I get it to roll. I just threw this together now. I just literally today I was farming Tip of the Spear and Countdown. So I haven't gotten all armor regen buffs, and I haven't been able to optimize it all yet. So it's still a mesh of things. But I realized, well, repair skill helps my fixer drone regen, so I might as well slap that on when I find it until I can get a blue armor regen, which I do think is better overall, because they both give you roughly the same regen, but then obviously the blue armor regen, you don't have to rely on your fixer drone to be out for it to keep healing you. So it's definitely, like, if you have to choose between the two, always go with the blue armor regen. The repair skill is just an extra bonus to my fixer drone healing. So yeah, when I did that though, my damage, it wasn't that much worse. I went to the lab, like I did 2 million damage before. I take off all of this, I test my damage now on this guy, and it's down to like 1.5, I think, at no less than 1.4. And again, you would say, well, that's a decent chunk. It is, but that's not a crazy amount. And you have to also remember, a big chunk of my damage is from my signature weapon now, and a big chunk of the Flamethrower's signature weapon damage is not the actual weapon damage buffs from the actual hits you get. It's the burn damage over time it does. It also, I've noticed it does a special burn, I think, because its burn does a lot more damage over time than than just applying burn from like an incendiary grenade or from, what's it called that I'm using? Iron Lung. Like the burn Iron Lung does hardly any damage. but the burn from my signature weapon, that alone will take out a red enemy from full health over the few second duration it lasts. So it's a really good damage over time thing it does. And as I tested in the lab, and yeah, it does not get buffed by, at least definitely not by crit chance or crit damage. So that wasn't even helping my signature weapon damage, which is a big chunk of my damage now anyway. So it was only marginally helping my Iron Lung and Pyromaniac, while not helping my Flamethrower at all. So yeah, I concluded, dude, absolutely, I need to go all in on regen. And yeah, I'll never get nearly as much regen as my like survivalist foundry guy gets, stacking all that stuff as well. But the thing is, it's just enough, as you're seeing in this fight, for instance, it's just enough to constantly keep little bits of damage topped off. And then if I ever take too much damage, especially because I'm even tankier with using 6 armor cores, now I'm using protection from elites too, and usually there's almost always at least some elites hitting you. Yeah, there's red and purple enemies, but there's almost always elites hitting you as well during these fights. So it'll still overall negate damage that you're taking still, usually from multiple enemies, because usually almost guaranteed some of them are yellows shooting you. So because of that, I'm able to easily just spam my dodge button back to cover. I'm not as durable as my pure tank build, but I'm close to him now because of this, at least armor regen wise I am. So I can very easily just get back to cover anyway, and then thanks to having blue armor regens combined with my fixer drone and combined with Catharsis, I'm able to top off my armor a lot quicker. Now, Catharsis won't always be healing me, of course, but still, it's like, it tops me off during the combat. I mean, it gives you a ton of healing. And honestly, behind cover, that's actually when Catharsis helps you the most, because I'm tanky enough that I can risk, like, getting out of cover to, like, shoot Iron Lung, for instance, and set someone else on fire in a distance. And then the damage I take during that shootout I do while I'm behind cover will then activate the Catharsis at my feet, and then I'll just regen my armor a lot more quickly. So that way, at that point, Perfect Vanguard's probably ready to go, so I can immediately get out of covers, go to my shield that's now invincible for a few seconds, close the distance, and set everyone on fire again. And again, and then I take less damage anyway, because I've said it before, This is why I wanted to do this build and why I wanted to use the flamethrower in particular. One, because it's the most fun signature weapon. It's a flamethrower. Of course I want to find a build that uses a flamethrower in this game. But two, burn is absolutely the best status effect to apply on an enemy in the game. Because it's damage over time. It's not, a regular burn at least is not that much damage over time, but hey, it's still something. That's really not the best thing it does though. That's just the bonus. The best thing it does with that bonus is that it makes the enemy stop shooting you. So it actually helps everybody take less damage because whoever you set on fire, if they're susceptible to fire, which is most enemies, there's a few that aren't, but the vast majority of enemies, even most boss enemies, are susceptible to being set on fire. And every time they are, they can't shoot anybody. They immediately stop shooting, and then they also are more vulnerable too because they're not, I mean, the AI is pretty smart in this game, so it negates their intelligence because they're forced to just run around like a chicken with its head cut off, ignoring everything. So they're not shooting you, they're more vulnerable, even more if they were behind cover, because it always forces them out of cover too, so everybody can shoot the guy who was in cover before. So and of course it does damage over time. And with the flamethrower in particular, as I said, its damage over time is even more than regular burn. So it is the best status effect to apply on an enemy. Always love getting burns on enemies. It's another reason I use Survivalist tree instead of Technician tree on my main Foundry build. I mean, it's not the main reason, it's really for the protection from elite buff in it, but also the incendiary grenades. I don't know why incendiary grenades aren't in Firestarter though. That would make more sense, but heck, I feel like I don't need it on this guy now, because you see, I can just have my flamethrower out constantly now. And the trick is you have to realize you don't want to spam the thing. I still don't accumulate enough ammo to justify spamming it. But you only have to hit a guy 4 times to activate the fire, which is the best thing to do, because then you see my combo is I just shoot a few times with it, then switch out to Pyromaniac, and then finish them off with the bonus damage from Pyromaniac on burned enemies. And the burn lasts perfectly just long enough for a full clip of Pyromaniac after I switch to it. And as you see, it's enough damage to take out an elite from full on Heroic, which for a pure tank build like this, because this really is a pure tank in the sense that I have nothing helping my gun damage anymore. For the most part, again, I'll get rid of the last 2 crits, but together they're not doing much. Okay, at that point, I'm getting maybe like 3% more damage on my weapons from that. Like, it would not change anything once I finally get rid of it. So yeah, I love this build. I definitely can tell this might become my new favorite build. It's so much fun, and it's so OP. And also, so it feels OP in solo, because it's a tank, and it does more damage than my main tank because of the flamethrower combo now on it. And then just being able to use a flamethrower constantly is just, of course, so much fun. I love using the flamethrower in this game, and I love now that because I was so annoyed because signature weapon ammo is always so annoying to accumulate, but I realized this is the way to do it. And yes, the trick is you need to definitely use, if you're going to do this, like the backpack tip of the spear is mandatory. Like, you have to do it. I kind of wish it wasn't, because I planned to use Adrenaline Rush on this guy. But then I realized, tip of the spear without the backpack, I just don't recover enough ammo to use my flamethrower like this, like almost constantly throughout the fight. So, like, you have to get the backpack, because the backpack doubles the 60-second ammo refresh. You go from 10 ammo every 60 seconds to 20 ammo, which is still decent, because again, if you're using it conservatively, but also, like you see, I use it conservatively, but then I'm also always using it. So I'm always enjoying it. I'm just using it correctly by just shooting a few times just to activate the burn and then switching back, which I think historically is even how real flamethrowers work usually. It's like, usually you only spray the whole thing if you're missing people, you're trying to hit multiple dudes. And that's the same way here. Like, if a big group of enemies spawn, then I'll obviously shoot more than 4 times to set them all on fire. But going like this, like going, especially solo, going to individual enemies here and there, it's a simple hit them 4 or 5 times to conserve ammo, and then switch to pyro, finish them off, then switch back to flamethrower, do the same thing. And as you were seeing, for the most part, I accumulate enough ammo from tip of the spear alone to keep doing that. And then the few times where I don't, and I start to run out of ammo, and then I end up switching back, well, that's what Iron Lung is for. And also by that point, I've usually, I still get ammo for signature weapon through killing through my main guns. So at that point, I've usually gotten enough close range kills that I'm able to get another signature weapon ammo to drop to give me another 20 ammo. And that's usually just enough to top me off again. So I can just keep going back. And it's so much fun, man. This is a really fun build. I can't wait to finish it now. Like, get my armor regen and repair. Like, I'm gonna, my chest piece, I'm gonna get rid of the double crit for a blue armor regen of core. And then also 20% more repair skill. So I'm still going to use a repair skill on this just to give further regen. And again, because there's nothing else I'd rather use. I mean, at that point, there's no point going crit damage or crit chance because it's doing so little for my main gun damage that there's no point. And I have to also emphasize this, like when I was doing the crit chance, crit damage one, the all in on the crit damage, crit chance, it was like to kill an elite was still the same method here. I still had to shoot him a few times with my flamethrower, and I still went through a whole clip of Pyromaniac. So the time it takes me to kill the elite with no crits and no crit damage on this build is basically the same. it's basically the same, so there's no point. Last thing I also want to emphasize, like Iron Lung is also the perfect exotic because again, whenever you don't have ammo for your flamethrower or you need to shoot at range, you need to be more, maybe there's so many enemies that you just can't be up close anymore. That's when Iron Lung is perfect because, and that's also why rate of fire on it, by the way, is the perfect attribute you want to get because the whole point is you want to shoot through its ammo as fast as possible to activate the burn as fast as possible. So you actually want to empty the clip faster. So yeah, always use rate of fire, in my view, for the third attribute. I mean, it's only 5%, it doesn't do much, but it's still better than crit damage or whatever because the whole point of Iron Lung is to get to activating fire quickly. Also, like, so it's useful as you see here in solo. I can empty Iron Lung and then immediately switch to Pyromaniac to all do the same thing, finishing them off once I activate a burn on them. However, in like big missions and countdown and stuff like that, Iron Lung can potentially be amazing because you can actually, just like your flamethrower, once the burn applies, it applies to all the remaining bullets in the clip. So if you just are strategic and you just start spraying it around a group of enemies, you'll set them all on fire. Which again, usually helps everybody because that group of enemies is no longer doing any damage to anyone, and they're all more vulnerable. And there's people on your team that also get bonus damage to status affected enemies that you're also usually helping teammate damage too by doing it. So yeah, and this is the last thing I want to say. I've gone pretty long in this video, but the last thing I also want to point out, because I use this in Countdown too while I'm farming for the tip of the spear on it, and I can tell you it's one of the best builds to bring in Countdown too. Like my gunner build with Point Man was really good too, and Coyote Mask. This one's definitely better than him for Countdown because he has 6 armor core, so that means he's giving bonus armor the most at that point from Vanguard. And yeah, he doesn't have Coyote buff, but what he does have is, first off, Firestarter gives one of the best team support damage buffs because whenever I'm in close range, all the enemies close to me take bonus damage from all my teammates. So you're still helping teammate damage to all enemies that are close to you. So that's another thing to mention from the Firestarter tree itself. But then also just the burns, as I've been trying to emphasize, activating burns on enemies is like the best status you can give to a team too. Setting people on fire is, well, you know what, scratch that. People are probably already saying, what about Ensnare? Okay, I forgot about that. Of course, Ensnare, particularly to pure DPS gun builds, is the best status effect because then they can just solely concentrate their damage on them. So you got me. Maybe Ensnare is better than Burn, but maybe it's a tie because Burn does the same thing, but then the enemies obviously are still moving. But they're also moving slowly and without like rhyme or reason to their movements. So they're still pretty easy to hit. And also, again, unlike Ensnare, they usually, I would say there's more teammates that usually have bonus damage to enemies set on fire than ensnare. I'm not even sure if there is bonus damage to ensnared enemies in the game. I'm sure someone's going to correct me and say there is. But still, I want to say Burn's a better status for getting bonus damage on enemies, though. And obviously, it does damage over time for the little it does as another bonus. So maybe they're tied. In any event, it's still if it's not the best, and if it's not tied with the best with ensnare, it's still the second best. Okay, and like at minimum, it's the second best. But you can make an argument that it's actually the best. So still, one of the best statuses in the game you apply to all these enemies, like having Iron Lung for the extraction point. If I can't use my flamethrower, I can still be setting hunters, for instance, on fire constantly, so that the hunter that we're targeting is he's just unable to do anything for the most part at that point, because I just keep setting him on fire. You can just keep setting boss level enemies on fire over and over again easily on this build, just with Iron Lung. But then, of course, once I'm able to get close and use my flamethrower, and I always make sure I have max ammo at that point for extraction, which is easy on a tip of the spear build like this to have maximum ammo, then it's just so good, because I'm a tank, so I can be out in the open soaking up more damage on me, while also setting, at that point, I'm not doing what I'm doing here, where I'm switching to pyro and trying to maximize my damage. My only goal in extraction on countdown is to just keep setting enemies I'm targeting on fire and then move to another enemy, assuming my teammates behind me are just shooting every enemy they see on fire, which is what they should do and what it seems like they're usually doing. So my job is just to keep setting enemies on fire for them and then keep activating my Vanguard right at the perfect time, so that they almost always have that armor buff on them. And all that combined makes this guy also one of easily the best countdown dudes, especially because there's so many instances in countdown where you have a mass group of enemies spawn. And obviously, a fire starter using, their flamethrower striker shield just gives the best thing for their team to just unload into a group of enemies that just get set on fire. I also forgot to mention, of course, Striker also buffs teammates' damage behind it. So again, it's just really, really good team build, and also really, really good solo. Vanguard is still very good solo, because that invincibility for a few seconds on a shield, like a Striker shield or Crusader shield, just helps keeping your shield topped off so much better than anything else, besides, of course, Foundry. But again, this isn't a Foundry build. Let me shut up now. I talked a lot about this build, but it is the first video, so I haven't had the chance to go through in depth on it, so this is kind of me going through in depth. And then later on, I'll probably do one more video where I go more in depth after I finish it. Like, finish by the meaning I optimize and get all my pieces I wanted to get, and then it's just grinding out expertise on it at that point. One last thing, another reason Vanguard is so good is because, especially in a team, like giving your allies so much more armor constantly lets them play, and they usually do, they usually play more aggressively as you would expect them to, which just lets you play more aggressively, so you can be out in the open more, you're taking less damage more, because your teammates are usually, even if they're DPS builds, they're going to be out in the open a little bit more, which means they're also taking some of the heat occasionally, so that you can keep shooting those burns off. You can be out in the open more. So yeah, just had to add that last bit as well. Yeah.